Hi, I'm Amie Smith. I'm owner of AMIE Bakery here in Osterville, Massachusetts. I'm a pastry chef, a writer, and I am working on my debut novel. And it's about my career change midlife and how I ended up opening a bakery, which was never my dream. But during pastry school, I realized that the neighborhood bakeries had been on the decline. We were making things from scratch that I remembered from my childhood, and pretty much nobody was making that anymore. Very few places were making things from scratch, and the taste difference is incredible. So I wanted to bring scratch baking to a neighborhood bakery. That's what I've done here in Osterville. And through our academy, AMIE Académie, I teach people how to do basic recipes at home and understand that it's not complicated, and how to demystify baking, because there's a mystique about baking. It's not really that complicated. So I'm here in my home kitchen, and I thought I would share some of my favorite recipes with you. And today we're doing a chocolate pavlova. This recipe is from Smitten Kitchen, another fellow baker that I follow, and I love her recipes. And the chocolate pavlova is so unique, I think. It's gluten-free, and I've never been a big pavlova fan, but after I made this, wow, it really changed my mind. And I made it for a gathering, and there wasn't a crumb left. And every time I make it, people go crazy over it, and we added it to our menu at the bakery. It's a very simple recipe. Pavlovas are basically a big meringue, and meringues are very temperamental in that humidity makes a difference, and you're going to be baking it at a lower temperature, and they can be very fragile. So you'll see as the process goes on, I'll talk a little bit more about that, but it's a very simple recipe with few ingredients, and it's just a spectacular dessert. So I'm going to show you today how to make the chocolate pavlova, and we're going to top it with whipped cream and berries, and it makes a very beautiful presentation, and it's crispy on the outside and chewy on the inside, and it will become one of your favorite desserts. So for today's recipe, the chocolate pavlova, you're going to need a stand mixer or a handheld mixer. You are going to be beating by hand for a very long time. You're not going to get the volume trying to make a meringue from just hand whipping. So this is one of the few recipes that I really feel like you need your equipment. So I have the KitchenAid mixer with a whisk, and we're going to start with the egg whites. There's some granulated sugar, and I'm going to show you how that is done on the mixer in stages. We're going to put the egg whites into the bowl, and it's best if they're room temperature. And we're going to start to get the egg whites foamy, and then start streaming in the sugar very slowly. So you let this go until you start to see some foam. And I am going to turn it down to a medium speed. And I'm going to start to slowly add my sugar. You don't want to dump it in all at once. And we're going to start to stream in the sugar a little bit at a time. And I also want to add a pinch of salt. And I'm keeping it on medium speed, just as I'm streaming in the sugar a little bit at a time. And now I'm going to turn it up more. And you'll start to see it becoming opaque. And it's going to be very stiff and glossy when it's ready. And another thing that we add in is some vinegar. And I promise you, it smells not nice. This helps to stabilize the meringue. And trust me, you're gonna be like, I'm not gonna wanna eat this when you smell the vinegar, but it works. The other important thing to remember about making a meringue is you cannot have any fat in the bowl. So if your bowl is greasy or you get some egg yolk, which has fat, it's not gonna work. So you could spin here for a year and you're not gonna get a meringue if you've got fat. So be careful. And you can see the whisk is starting to track. And you can see it's getting very glossy. Still not ready. Kind of like watching paint dry, but a little more exciting, I think. I might go just another minute. I want it to be just a tad, or that's looking very good. I'm just gonna put it on for another 30 seconds here. Okay, and voila. You can see in the bowl, we have some nice peaks. And what we're gonna do, now we're gonna take some chopped chocolate and some cocoa powder, and we're going to mix it in by hand. And we're going to gently fold this into the meringue. And you can leave it a little streaky. It doesn't have to be 100% incorporated. And then what we're going to do is take a little bit of the meringue, and this is just a little trick. Sometimes you need a little glue to hold your paper down so it doesn't blow onto the pavlova. So you can just take a little bit. The other thing, if you want to draw a circle with a marker on your paper as a guide, I'm just doing it freehand, but you can draw it and then flip the parchment over so that there's no ink on the baking side up. Today we're going to make two smaller ones. This makes one large 9-inch, but we're going to do a couple of smaller ones. And this does spread out, and you can also make smaller ones if you want. But you'll see how beautiful this is. And like I said, it'll spread. So you want to leave some room. So one of my favorite tools in the kitchen is the offset spatula. And I'm just going to gently pat it into a little circle here. And I like it when the meringues have these little peaks. Isn't that cute? So it will spread, but I'm going to put that into the oven like that. And then I'm going to set up my second sheet. And then I have my oven on at 350 right now. And I'm not using my convection function. And then as soon as this goes in the oven, I'm going to drop the temperature. Your pavlovas bake at a low temperature for a long time. And we're probably looking at about an hour until it dries out, and it's going to get crackly looking, and it's just beautiful. But it's not a lot of time to prepare the pavlova in terms of getting the mixture done, but the baking time is a while. So that's where most of the time is going to be. And then while we're waiting for it to bake, we're going to make whipped cream and cut up some berries. And we have some shaved chocolate for the top. And it's just the most beautiful presentation. And I'm just pressing this out a little bit, just very gentle. And I'm not smoothing it. I just kind of like to make things, as we called it in pastry school, look rustic. But I'll tell you, when I bring this to a family gathering, I can't bring one. I have to bring two. It's that popular. And everybody talks about it. And everybody has to make sure that they get a piece of it. My last family gathering, it was like the talk of the gathering, and I had to make sure that folks got a piece that wanted it. It's pretty funny. All right, these are going in the oven now. It's at 350. It's been warming up. Now I'm turning it down to 300, and we're going in. And we'll see you soon. Now we're going to make the whipped cream. The key to whipped cream is cold cream and a chilled bowl. I've had my bowl in the freezer for a little bit, and you can see it's a little frosty. So I'm going to pour in my cream. I'm going to get every last bit out of there. And I'm going to put this on the KitchenAid and whip this at high speed. Now, this is very important. Don't walk away. Don't get distracted, or you're going to have butter, not whipped cream. So, and we're going to add a little sugar and vanilla for sweetener and flavor. Sometimes I use powdered sugar. Today I'm using granulated. You just need a little bit. The pavlova has a nice sweetness. I don't like my desserts overly sweet. So I'm going to just add a little bit of sugar and vanilla. And if you really want to make something a little extra special, you could add a little cocoa powder and have chocolate whipped cream. It's to die for. I could tell you a story about whipped cream without getting too distracted. When I was growing up, I talk about how my mother, was a terrible cook. Everything was very basic, just fine. But whipped cream was in a can, ready whip. And my dad, every summer, would go to the store and we'd buy cans of ready whip, and we would go out by our pool and have a whipped cream fight with the cans of ready whip. But there is nothing like the real thing, so I don't like to use canned whipped cream. So everything has a purpose, though. Okay, so now we have some light and fluffy whipped cream. And I'm going to stop the mixer. Yum. We have some beautiful whipped cream right here. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the fridge. And you don't want it to get warm. So I will put this in the fridge. And then we have some beautiful berries to cut up for the topping. And then we're going to put a little shaved chocolate on top with the berries. You can use any fruit that you want. Blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, anything that you like. I was doing a stage at this bakery downtown Manhattan, and I had to slice. I don't even know it was a case of strawberries. It was just this giant flat. I think I was slicing strawberries for most of my day. And the chef, they were like measuring the height of my cuts. It's very intimidating. Oh, at Financier Bakery in New York City. You could just have this with whipped cream, but putting it on top of a pavlova, game changer. Once the pavlova comes out of the oven, you want it to fully cool before you put the whipped cream on top. Obviously, you don't want to put delicate whipped cream on something warm because it'll melt. So you will take it out and cool the pavlova, depending on your environment and how you cool it. If you leave it on the hot sheet tray, it's going to take longer than moving it to a cooling rack where there's air underneath. But also you want to take care in moving the pavlova. It is very delicate. Now listen, one of the things that's very exciting about the pavlova is if you mess it up and it breaks, you have an eaten mess. Now, I can tell you that story. I had only made the pavlova a couple of times, or maybe once, and this was my second time making it. I was in Florida at a friend's house. After I made it the first time, I was so blown away by this pavlova that I was like, I have to make this when I'm visiting my friend. So I made the pavlova at her house, and I was still a little unsure of some of the nuances of how it was going to perform. And anyway, I went to move it and it broke. Oh, I know. I wanted to check the inside to see the doneness of it or if it was the same as the last time. And I went to like kind of, I don't know, look or slice, and it broke. And she had company coming. We had other people coming for dinner. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have this broken pavlova. So I was like, all right, get me some martini glasses. So we got the martini glasses out. I took some whipped cream. I took some pieces of pavlova and berries, and I just like put it in a glass. And I was like, dessert looked beautiful and tasted great. And then my friend sent me a link saying, hey, we made an eaten mess. And I was like, oh, wow. So, had I known that, I could have just said, everybody, here's your eaten mess. But I didn't even know I had made it. So if you screw up your pavlova and it breaks, just, mix everything together and it'll be just as nice. So it's foolproof. Yeah. Unless you have a very humid environment and or you have fat in your meringue and it never makes the meringue. That's like the part where you're not going to have a pavlova, but otherwise you will. And you want to keep it out. You're not going to want to like pop this in the refrigerator for very long. We do keep it in our cold case when we're selling it, but it doesn't last very long in the cold case. And we always recommend serving it the same day. But I have to say, I've had it the next day. It's delicious. So you definitely want to do the whipped cream before you serve it. It can stay on the pavlova for a little while, but you don't want it on there for an extended period of time. We've done it, let's say like overnight in the fridge. It'll be okay the next day, but I always prefer to do it right before I'm going to serve it. And we send it out of the bakery with the whipped cream and berries, and a lot of folks go home and they serve it that evening. It's fine. Sometimes people take it on the side, depending if they're going to serve it that day or the next day, but the pavlova would sit out on the counter. We were looking for another gluten-free dessert to add at the bakery. So I offered it, I think, for a holiday, and we got a lot of orders for it. And the whole thing took off. Once you taste this and you bring it somewhere and serve it to people, people go crazy for it. So it took off, and now we make a lot of them. You can see the pavlova has the beautiful cracks. It smells like chocolate in here. It's delicious. And we want to let them both cool before moving. So I'm just thinking, you always have to get creative, like to slide it off. So it's starting to settle a little bit, and this is nothing to worry about.
Oh, magical.
You'll do it from this side. Okay, I have creatively used the bottom of a tart pan to help slide underneath because I don't have my wide spatula handy. And I'm just going to put this on here. And it will settle like that. It's no big deal. It's not worth it to me to try to pick it up and put it on the board. I'll just trim the paper and the paper will sit underneath. I'll just go in and start even tearing the paper just so it doesn't show, but it's still underneath there. It's like Pavlova surgery. I'm just kind of going underneath so you can't see it. And then there's always a front and back. And whipped cream and berries can cover any sin. Or just dollop it on our Pavlova. Look like a fluffy cloud. You know, you can hear the crispy. And okay, so that's looking pretty good. Just kind of sprinkle it on. I like to just crowd it on top. And I always like to have contrast with my fruit. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. And now I'm going to take a piece of chocolate and I'm just going to use my grater and just put a little bit of grated chocolate on top. We have chocolate curls at the shop too. And this is optional, but I like it. And then I don't happen to have any mint on hand at the moment, but I just think it looks pretty with a little basil. And then voila, you have your chocolate pavlova with berries and whipped cream. Okay, we're going to cut into the pavlova. That crunchy shell. And then we're gonna all right, so you can see it's crunchy on the outside and it's chewy and gooey on the inside. And I didn't say it would be pretty to get that spoonful, but holy moly. It's light, it's crispy, it's chewy, chocolatey. You have the fresh fruit and the whipped cream. There is nothing bad about that. Well, today was supposed to start my diet, but it'll have to be tomorrow. It's so good.
It's beautiful.
Crap, I'm inhaling this. So good. It like melts in your mouth and then it's a little chewy. I said I wasn't even going to eat a piece of it. I lied. Mon amis, thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video and learning how to make a chocolate pavlova. Please leave a comment and a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Also, ring the bell if you'd like to be notified for future videos. Hopefully you'll give this recipe a try. If you do, I'd love to see your results. Tag us on social media at AMIE Bakery and visit our website for more information on our bakery and to learn more about me and my background and how I ended up living my dream, opening a bakery. Follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. If there's a recipe that you'd like for me to make, please leave it in the comments and I'd be happy to review it and see if we can make that happen. I hope you'll visit us at AMIE Bakery at 1254 Main Street in Osterville on beautiful Cape Cod. AMIE Bakery is open year-round and we serve breakfast and lunch. We have grab-and-go meals that you can heat up at home, and everything is from scratch. It's very delicious. So I hope you'll come and meet us at the bakery. Farewell, mon amis. We probably can't even put that on camera, so scratch all of that. You better not be taping me making all my pre-show grouchy moves here. Do I need lipstick?
I don't think so.
Okay. Gloss?
A shot, maybe.
Oh, wait. Maybe I should.
A shot of Irish cream.
Hold on. Let's see. Is my hair fluffed up here so you can see it? You're lying. What the hell am I saying? Did I say anything relevant? Yeah. Then I'm going to look and be like, my hair.